Welcome to the Witchy Concoction Spooky Tutorial. In this section, I am going to teach you how to make the tool object. And in this tutorial, this tool object is going to sit in two different places in the experience. It will sit in a folder called Shapes and Workspace, and it will also sit in replicated storage in a folder called Shapes. The copy in Workspace is just a kind of a demonstration piece. The player isn't actually going to pick up this piece. The player is going to be able to run up to this piece, click on it, and then a copy will be cloned into their backpack, and the copy will be retrieved from replicated storage. So the copy of the tool that they receive will come out of this folder called Shapes and Replicated Storage. Okay. The copy sitting in Workspace is just kind of a copy, a representation of the tool. And so I'm going to show you how to make the tool. If you haven't made a tool, you might learn a little bit. If you have, well, this might just be a review for you. So the first thing for making a tool, if you go to Workspace and click the plus sign and then choose Tool in the drop down or type Tool in the search, the tool should pull up and click on it to insert it in Workspace. So now we have a tool. And now we're going to make one of these little objects, which are similar to the ones I have sitting up on this ingredients board. And you can make whatever kind of tool you want. It doesn't have to be identical to this. You know, you may come up with your own idea or your own theme. It doesn't have to be the Witchy Concoction spooky theme. Okay, so this tool is pretty much made up of just cylinder parts, 4 cylinder parts. And so I'm just gonna go to the top menu bar, click on the drop down menu on part, and click on cylinder, and it inserted a cylinder into my workspace. Okay, so I'm going to drag that cylinder to where I'm working so that it's in front of me. Okay, and I'm going to work close to this object I've already got sitting here that we're going to duplicate or copy what this looks like. So the first thing you're going to do is change the size and color, because I want something that looks kind of like a piece of wood or a stick about this size. And I think this object is about 5 and maybe 0.5 or 0.7. So I can change the size in 2 different ways. I can go to my properties window and just find size and click the arrow to open it up and see the X, the Y, and the Z, and just change the numbers there. Or I can use the tool from the menu bar called Scale, and I can click on Scale, and then you see the red, the blue, and the green circles. And if you click and drag any of those circles and move them around, it changes the size. So let's say I click the blue, and I'm going to drag left to make this smaller. And that's the Z. The green one is the X, or no, the Y. And the red is the X. And you can tell what each of those are if you look up at your views selector. Y is green, Z is blue, X is red. Okay. And then I'm going to make this a little bit taller because I think I said I wanted it to be 5. Okay, so for this, the size of this object, X is 5, Y is 5, and Z can be 0.7. All right. And then next I'm going to change the color, so you can go to the color property in the properties window and change it. I'm going to change it to a brown. And then I'm going to change the material to wood. And now I've created that part. Okay, so that part is sitting in workspace. We want to move that part into the tool. So just click it and then hold the mouse button down and drag it into your tool. Okay, so I need 2 more parts that look like this because I have 3 of these stick looking things. So I'm just gonna click the part in Explorer, right click it and choose duplicate, and I'm gonna do that twice. So now I've got 3 of these parts, but they're all sitting in the same position. So now I'm going to use the rotate tool to move them around so that I form this shape that we see, this kind of V, upside down V with the stick going through it. Okay, I was going for a spooky look, and I think this is kind of Blair Witchy like looking, so that's why I made that. Okay, so I'm going to use the rotate tool. Up on the menu bar, if you click rotate, you'll see the circle rotate tool appear on that object. So I'm just going to change one to be horizontal, and I want to rotate it to 90 degree. And then the other 2, when you click on them, they're going to be rotated also, except they're going to be rotated a little bit differently. And I'll also have to move them a little bit. So click on the move tool to move them around. Move them to the side or up and down. Until you get the actual shape that you like. Okay, so that looks pretty good. I'm not trying to be perfect. Actually, I think I want the horizontal part to come down a little bit. Okay, so that looks pretty similar. Okay, and then finally I need this little colorful circle part that's in the center of that little blank triangle that got formed from the shape. So I'm just going to again duplicate one of these parts because I used a cylinder part again to make that little circle thing. So I'm going to right click and duplicate, and now I'm going to change the size using the scale. And I'm also going to rotate it because it's facing a different direction. And I still need to change the size some, so I'm going to use scale again. And I'm going to look at the side view of this because I do want these 2 sides to stick out a little bit, but maybe not that much. Okay. And now we have the circle part. And I'm going to change the color of that part. Okay. All right, and then the next step would be to put a decal on it. So whatever ingredient you want this object to represent. Okay, and for this demonstration I used a cross. So we're going to insert a decal into this little blue part. So you can use whatever decal you want. I'm going to go to the toolbox, and you can either find decals in the Creator Store, or if you have your own decals, you can pull from your decals. And I have decals, so I'm going to go pull one of mine. So when you find the decal you want, click the plus sign on it, and then insert, and it'll insert into that part. Make sure you have that part highlighted in the Explorer window before you do that, so that it inserts into that part. Otherwise, it might insert somewhere else, and then you'll just have to find it. Okay, then click on that decal in your Explorer window and change the face property to the side that makes it appear on that side of your object. And you can see I changed mine to the right. Yours might be a different face depending on how you're sitting in your studio. And then I can see that it's turned sideways, and I want it to be straight up and down, so now I'm going to rotate my part to fix that. So I'm just going to use the rotate tool again and rotate it so that the cross is sitting upright. Okay, so there's the creation of that tool. Now I'm going to choose one of these parts to have a click detector in it, so that when we create the script for that when that object gets clicked, it's going to be cloned from replicated storage and put into the player's backpack. So I'm going to choose one of these parts, and I'm going to change the name of it, this part, to little h, and I'm going to insert a click detector. So just click the plus and find click detector in the list and insert it. And also, since this is going to be the tool that's just on the demo board, just for kind of display, we need it to be anchored, and we need the parts to be welded together. So in order to do that, we are going to insert a weld constraint into each of the parts except for the main part. And I'm going to use H as the main part. So the other three parts, I'm going to insert a weld constraint. So click on the plus sign and type or look for a weld constraint and insert it. And then once you've inserted the weld constraint, you need to choose what part 0 and part 1 is for each of the weld constraints. Okay, so for this part, part 0 can be the part, and part 1 can be H, because I'm welding it to H. So in order to do that, just click in the Properties window, click on the part 0 field, and you'll see this little adorne circle looking thing attached to your cursor. Now go over to the Explorer window and click on part, and it automatically puts part in the part 0 field. Now do the same thing with part 1 and then click on H. So now that says that this part is welded to H. Okay, now do this for the other two parts. Insert a weld constraint, set up part 0 and part 1. And then for the third part, do the same thing. Set up part 0 and part 1. Okay, and for this part, I'm going to anchor H. Because it's just the display part, it's not going to be moved around in the game. So I do want to anchor it wherever I place this part. And for this experience in this tutorial, I've placed all those parts on this board. Okay, so that when we press play, they won't fall down. So if I were to press play right now, these parts should be completely set up, and they should just be sitting here suspended in the air. So I'm going to test that and press play. And they are. Okay. Now, because I put a click detector in them, when I hover my cursor over the part that has the click detector in it, you can see the hand show up. But if I were to click these right now, they're not going to do anything because I don't have that script for these two parts set up yet. Oh, I do have it set up for this one, but not this one. Okay. So that's the making of the tool. Now, like I said, this is just the tool that is going to be the demonstration tool. We also need a copy of this tool put into the replicated storage. So this tool I would put into the shapes folder of Workspace. And you can see I've got all of those sitting, these 7 tools on the ingredients board already in here. And now I'm adding this one, okay? Now I need to copy this tool. So I'm going to right click it and duplicate, and now I'm going to take it and drag it and down to the replicated storage folder called shapes and put it in there. And now you can see I have the tool in replicated storage also. Now once you copy the tool into replicated storage, you need to go into the tool, and the part that you named little h, you need to change the name to handle with a capital H. So click on that part, right click, and then choose rename, and with a capital H, name it handle. That way when this part, when we set up the scripts, and then when the player plays the game and they go click that click detector, it's going to clone a copy of the part from this folder and put it in the backpack. But if that tool does not have a part in it named handle, the player won't be able to equip it. So when you set up a tool that a player can pick up, it has to have a part inside of it called handle. Now we haven't done the scripts yet, okay, so it's not going to happen yet, but we'll get to that next. So that concludes this little section of the tutorial where we've made the tool and we've discussed having 2 copies of the tool, one in Workspace and one in replicated storage, and how the one in Workspace doesn't need a handle because it's just kind of the copy that they're going to click on that then clones the copy from replicated storage into their backpack. So if I were to play this game and I've already set up the tools properly on this ingredients board, I'm going to press play. If I run over here and click on one of these, it should show up in my backpack. And it did. So I clicked on this one right here and it cloned into my backpack. And now I can equip it with my hand because the cloned copy did have a handle in it. Okay, that concludes this section of the tutorial, and I will see you in the next section.